Hello there. In a display of cynicism, the Labour Party plans to use the Union flag and patriotism to win voters back. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. So according to The Guardian, Labour must make use of the Union flag, veterans and dressing smartly as part of a radical rebranding to help it win back the trust of disillusioned voters, according to a leaked internal strategy presentation. Have you ever heard of something so cynical, so empty, and so, well, downright dishonest? The Labour Party has decided to bring the fight to the Tories to try and win back the Red Wall, and how exactly do they intend to do it? By championing good old left-wing ideas such as boosting funding for the NHS? Or listening to the people and writing policies to reflect the wants and needs of working-class British voters, as opposed to the ideological indulgences of the metropolitan elite, and addressing the concerns that the Red Wall voters had over Brexit? No, the Labour Party's mastermind plan is to focus on the Union flag. But the Labour Party already has two flags, and neither of those is the Union flag. They have their traditional red flag that they sing about at every opportunity, a red flag they drape over their now hard-left communist ideals. And over that, they fly their other favoured flag, the blue and gold stars of the European Union. As far as I can see, this Labour Party of today considers waving the red flag and the EU flag as good, while waving the Union flag is to them jingoism. The modern momentum-backed Labour Party has no real affection for the United Kingdom. For them, it's a throwback to imperialism or some other such nonsense. I cannot believe that the red flag will be consigned to the dustbin of history to be replaced with a Union flag. And I can't see this going down well amongst the die-hard Labour hard left and the Corbynistas. But I do have to admit it would be a hoot to watch Jeremy Corbyn getting up to speak to conference to the sounds of Land of Hope and Glory as he takes to the stage with a Union Jack waving on a giant screen behind him. But now that they see the possibility that wrapping their Marxism in a Union flag might gain some extra votes, the Labour spin doctors are all for it. They obviously view the Red Wall electorate that they so recently lost to the Tories as empty-headed voters who drag their knuckles to the polling booths wearing Union flag jackets. As I said, instead of coming out with policies for the ordinary person in the street, they're embarking on a policy centred around Union flag waving. Which just goes to show how the Labour Party metropolitans view Red Wall voters, by believing that they're so shallow and uneducated that they will jump back to Labour from the Tories, all because of a flag. You can imagine groups of Momentum members wandering around waving the Union flag with a gritty-to-teeth smile on their face and with their fingers crossed firmly behind their backs. What are we going to see next? Labour Party MPs and peers sporting Union flag lapel badges as they file in and out of the respective Houses of Parliament. Many members of the Labour Party, especially the Momentum types, detest the Union flag. Getting them to agree to this will be a tall order. While most of the rest of us believe it is patriotic to wave our national flag, they view it as a nasty nationalism that must be stamped out. And they've spent decades of their time trying to associate everything UK with all things wrong, from slavery to imperialism to fascism. These sorts of people would rather the country crashed and burned to the ground than be successful under the Union flag. And many of these sorts of people reside in the ranks of Momentum and the Labour Party. So if they do end up adopting a UK patriotism policy, you'll know it's all a big, political con job. As the Guardian piece says, the strategy is yet to be shared with most MPs or staffers, and Labour Party managers are understood to be preparing a redacted version because of its sensitivity. Some party officials who have seen the presentation are alarmed by the language, believing the leadership has not reckoned with the nationalistic sentiments it invokes. Because as far as the left is concerned, waving the Union flag is nationalistic, therefore very bad. And this whole move stems from the fact that no one has a clue what Labour really stands for, except that its leader, Sir Keir Starmer, has a rear end full of splinters, having to spend so much of his time shifting from side to side on his fence. And quite a few splinters in his knees too, I shouldn't wonder. And the Guardian quotes one of the top recommendations. The use of the flag, veterans, dressing smartly at the War Memorial, etc., give voters a sense of authentic values alignment. Ye gods, today's Labour Party hasn't got a clue about people at all, has it? Those who have waved the Union flag down the years have done so out of a pride for the UK they live in, not for political manipulation. I assume they got an MBA graduate to do a business analysis for Labour, and it boiled down into, if you wave a specifically coloured piece of cloth, then you'll win the next general election. Actually, did they part with money to pay for this guidance to project a more electable Labour Party image? If so, I wonder which 4-year-old they did pay. The Labour message is clear. Forget the driving factors that made Red Wall voters leave the Labour Party in droves and focus on symbology instead. And the other name for the Union flag is the Union Jack, when used at sea. How very sexist. The hard left would surely try and change that. I can see it now, the Union Jane flying from the Jane staffs. And as for the colours they would use, well, I'll leave that to your imagination. Plus I'm sure there will be additional unicorns to appeal to the under-12s who Labour will probably make eligible to vote. And as to them saying they need to make use of veterans, this from a party that is content to see veterans who fall on hard times sleeping in the street, while loudly demanding that all newcomers get 4-star accommodation because the Nissen huts those veterans used to be housed in are not good enough. Many on the Momentum hard left would rather see veterans chased through the courts for war crimes. And then there's that Labour Party leading light, Lisa Nandy, who recently appeared to favour replacing the British Armed Forces with a peace force, or human security force, of international social services. You have to realise that many of these hard-left Momentum Labour types will never support the armed forces, never wave the Union flag, and never, ever, ever wear a red poppy. As the Tory chairman Amanda Milling said, Labour claim they're under new management, but Lisa Nandy's car crash week on Churchill and now our armed forces shows it's same old Labour. And then there's the reference to smartness. Have you seen what the average Marxist wears? And some of the outfits that the Labour deputy leader Angela Rayner has been seen in? Then there's the Corbyn donkey jackets. Message to the Labour Party. If you're going to be a mob of hard-left Marxists, then putting someone like Keir Starmer at the head, wrapped in a Union flag, to try and make yourselves look electable, is fooling absolutely no one. The real question for the rest of us is, could the Labour Party be any more disconnected from UK voters if they tried? Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below and support me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about Labour and its newfound patriotism? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.